Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Ladies, understand something. The top end of a woman's weight is 145 pounds. Okay. My mother's 5'9", and she was 145 pounds until she was 50. That's the top end of your weight, because there should be about a 40-pound difference between you and men.
Basically, if the guy is rich, what ends up happening is the lawyer contacts the person and be like, hey, you know, your name gonna be all in the paper, so you might as well just settle out of court.
I can recognize talent. Even if I don't agree with the politics, a lot of the politics that was underlying in the show and some of the sentiments he was trying to share, I recognize artistry when an artist is present.
Yes, this is the definition of absolutely cooked. We'll never go back and take a look at her bad decision and take accountability for any of that.
Because there is powerful people in the industry, somehow there is a different law that applies to them. And I agree with that assessment.
What's up, YouTube? How y'all feeling, man? Peace and blessings to everybody. I want to say thank you for locking in with me this evening. I got Rob and Sydney in the building. I got a video for us all to watch and examine. Some of you probably know the story, some of you don't. But we're going to chat about it for a little bit. Happy Monday, by the way. I hope your weekend was well. I hope you got home safely. Do me a solid, if you would. Like, share, repost. Let the people know we are live. We are in the building. You already know how we get down over here. You know what I'm saying? Always raw, authentic. No reason to feel like there's gonna be censorship or anything like that. We just here to get to the bottom of some stuff. This one is a sensitive subject for some people. You might care, you might not care. Who really knows? But I felt some type of way about this one. So I'm gonna bring Rob up. If you have any topics, anything that you want to see us discuss up here, email me, shoot me a DM. Love the needs to the panel. Other than that, let's go ahead and get the show started. Let's see. Yo. What up? What up, though?
Hello. How you guys doing?
Good. A little thrown off, but I made it. I made it. Life be life. Yeah, this morning started off like that for me, and my issue. Yeah, I got some of my issues straightened out. I wasn't sure how this day was going to turn out, but we here, you know, and I feel good. I'm looking forward to what y'all got to say about this particular story itself. That's cool, because I got a clip for us to watch just in case, you know, to give more context, but
I have one
that's pretty
interesting
much
thing.
where I'm at with it. Anything y'all want to say to the people before we start?
I felt an earthquake today. It was a 5.2. It was originally a 6, but they downgraded it.
Oh,
But this is the first earthquake I felt since I was like 12. So it's been a very long time since I've actually felt an earthquake. So it's pretty interesting to feel another one. Nothing's broken, at least.
Where you at again?
I'm near San Diego, or in San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
you said that so calm and so relaxed.
I'm that much of a nerd.
You just said that so casual.
It wasn't that bad. Like, it was only a couple seconds. It
Hey.
sounded like a bus was coming up the street, or like a big truck was coming up the street. And then all of a sudden the house just started. It literally felt like we were on the ocean for a second, where it was just kind of like going back and forth. And then it stopped. But it was interesting.
I could have never gotten used to that. I don't think I'd ever get used to that. How often does it happen out there? If you could actually help me to understand, because you said it's been a while for you, but what about the rest of?
It depends on where you're located. Southern California, and then far Northern California get earthquakes a lot more often, especially towards like the Oregon border. They get earthquakes fairly frequently. Southern California gets earthquakes, small earthquakes, really regularly, but overall, the Bay Area, all the way down to LA, we don't get the big ones all that often. It's only every couple decades. The last one LA had that was really severe, I think, was either in the mid 2000s or late 90s. And then San Francisco, really the biggest one in recent memory, was the 1906 earthquake. Generally, the rule of thumb is every 300 years per location. So Northern California, 300 years, Central California, 300 years, and then Southern California. But it is also broken up because there's lots of fault lines and they all kind of have their own timelines. But really for the big ones, a couple decades in between, up to 100 or so years. Smaller earthquakes, we get 5s, 4s, which are basically like jolts, but nothing much else. We can get those every 5 to 10 years, sometimes in clusters, but it's not as frequent as you'd think. It's not like storms.
Yeah, because the way that I was told is like it happens like every other month or every other couple weeks or something. Like,
It can if you're on certain parts
how
of the
could you
fault
ever
line.
get?
But like there's an area called Brawley, and then there's another area in Central California that they'll have earthquakes every like 5 years, every 7 years, because they're like literally right on a fault line. But most of the rest of California don't have them that frequently, thankfully.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that one up. Rob, what's going on, man?
Oh man, back in the grind, man. Rough. I was trying to get here, so I had to put the computer on early just in case. Everything good though.
I'm glad to see you back, bro. I know it never stops. The work never stops. The flow. You gotta have a rhythm, man. You gotta stay. I've been up since 6 this morning, bro.
Yeah.
At the laptop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
You got people think is sweet and like it's just like boom, boom, boom. Nah, it ain't like that. But nah, Jenny, I seen you in the building. I appreciate you for pulling out. I'm gonna pull your comment up real quick, and then I'm gonna go to the topic itself. Hold up, what did I just do? All right, there we go.
Earthquakes is a way of life.
All right, so the mall. Not over here. They can keep them. I'm good. In Covington, Georgia, there was a shooting. It left 2 dead, 1 in critical condition. Well, I'll play the video. You'll get to see it for yourself. I'll pass it around, get y'all initial thoughts, and we'll go from there. Tragic. My heart goes out to the families, man. Stuff like this, I get tired of seeing it, but it's so frequent, man. You just can't really ignore it. This is like a 2-minute clip, and I'll pass it to Sydney after the video stops, and we just go from there.
A Covington Walmart, now a crime scene. Store employees sent running for cover as gunfire rang out inside the business around 1:30 this morning.
Did they shoot anybody, or they were them? I don't know, and I'm not about to find out. There are gunshots fired. I'm one of the overnight members of management. Joanne, how many did you hear? I heard about 6 shots. Heard 6 shots?
Authorities say the suspect, 24-year-old Dwayne Ida, worked at the store.
When they entered inside, they located 2 gentlemen with gunshot wounds. The one gentleman was deceased. One was in critical condition.
The Newton County Sheriff's Office says Ida grabbed a gun from his car, went back into the Salem Road store, and then shot 2 coworkers, killing 21-year-old Khalif Barksdale and critically injuring 29-year-old Ryan Bradley. Police say Ida then went to a home along nearby Emerson Trail, where he shot and killed another Walmart employee in their home, 19-year-old Akila Clark. Investigators say Ida then left the scene and drove to South Carolina, where he was stopped.
From what we can understand is all 4 of them were employees here at Walmart. All 4 of them are acquaintances.
The Aiken County Sheriff's Office in South Carolina says Ida shot himself during a standoff with police. He's now being treated at a local hospital. Walmart shared this statement saying, quote, "We're heartbroken by what's happened. There's no place for violence in our stores. We're focused on taking care of our associates and supporting law enforcement with their investigation."
Right now, everything's still an active investigation, and Walmart will be closed for the rest of the evening.
Did you want to go first, or did you want me to go?
I'm gonna do this. When I heard the story, it made me angry. It made me confused. And in situations like this, you sit back, you reevaluate your life, your decisions, who you associate with, what to take serious, what not to take serious, who to remove out of your life. It makes you appreciate things more. It makes you think about the politics. It makes you think about work. It makes you think about family. It makes you think about friends and so-called friends and relationships built on business and built on trust. I am highly, highly frustrated with this. It jogged a memory about a post that I saw that spoke specifically about men and women who leave the workplace because the environments are inhospitable. Now, for whatever conditions they may be, that could vary. You could be a great supervisor. You could be a horrible one. Maybe your coworkers are a piece of shit. Maybe it's a combination of all of it. Maybe it's favoritism. Maybe people are dating on the job and they make it worse for them and the other person. For whatever reason, it always leads back to somebody ending up with this resentment or this bitterness or this attitude and anger towards the other person or parties that we don't really speak on in the workplace. We don't really talk about how folks be sick and tired of dealing with certain shit. And I think a lot of this right here, even though we don't know the whole like history behind the parties involved, you know there had to be something here. It wasn't just he saw them specifically and gunned them down. He actually went to the young lady's house and gunned her down in front of her mother. I just don't understand it. I'm just sharing my initial thoughts. There's way more that I want to say. I just figured I'd kick it off. So I'll pass it if anyone wants to chime in.
I wonder what because in the news article or the news report, they said that they were acquaintances, but I wonder how true that is because I read the articles and I couldn't really find much detail about what caused this altercation in the first place, because I guarantee that there was something preceding this. This was not just he randomly got up one day and was like, I'm going to shoot somebody, and randomly picked her out. Like, he definitely felt something, whether it was rejection or they were together and she broke up with him or something. There was something between them which triggered his anger. At least that's what it seems to me from the crime. There had to be some sort of unhappiness on his end to do this. And I don't know. I also wasn't exactly a fan of how even Walmart was talking, because they did have to mention at the end that they were still going to be open. They were closing temporarily, but they would be back and be open again, because, that's all they care about. They only care about profits. They don't care that somebody just got killed in their store. The only thing they care about is, oh, calm down, everyone. Don't worry. You can come back soon. And I think that's very indicative of the type of culture that we're living in today, where profits are put way, way before people. People are not protected as much as we think we are anymore. They don't really care about us. They really only want us to use us for our gains, our money. So I think it's really just a sign of a much, much deeper issue in society that goes beyond just the simple altercation, but it's the behavior underlying, the stress underlying, the long history of basically like systemized aggression against the American people, and it's now manifesting as this.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I don't want to speculate because we don't know the whole situation. But what I think about all the time, and it's been for the last couple of years, I think since that I think the guy shot up a Walmart, I want to say in New Mexico a while ago. But for years it's been like, golly, we can't even go to Walmart no more. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to the mall, you can't go to Walmart, you can't, like, it's crazy the way nowhere is safe or nowhere they, you know, now they shoot up a church. For Walmart, I'm with you. It probably had to be something. They probably knew each other or whatever. But like I said, I don't want to speculate on that. This is sad, you know, especially if you kill somebody you know. Can't be no good in that. And then if he really commits suicide, that sucks. I think this stuff been going on. It's just now, again, everybody got a phone now, so it's politicized. It's a camera everywhere. But it is right. You're right, Sydney. It is sad that business hours are still being in operation. And it's crazy, too, because for them to close, then you know it was something serious because they're not going to close. But I heard, not to, you know, get off topic, the shooting at the Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, I heard they was like open like the next day or two. So it's like, where does it stop? If you did own the store, what would you do in this case? Would you know what I mean? Because you would think you would close for like a week, but business got to go on, right? Still got to get your money or whatever. And then being all three of them being employees, yeah, I'll pass because I'm speechless right now for real.
So I look at it from two different perspectives. One where you have a woman involved. Dudes tend to crash out over females all the time. It just never seems to be a story that's you wish was just a story, but it's really the truth. Men just y'all think that y'all love harder than men, but I beg to differ. I think men love way harder than women do. These dudes really be taking out their entire family and then unaliving themselves and shit. I don't know if that's what happened here, but you got one female and then you got three guys. Now, one is in critical condition, the other one is no longer here, and then the suspect tried to finish himself off in a shootout with the police because he didn't want to face the consequences. What could you have possibly gone through mentally and emotionally? Put it this way. You got a calendar and you got a fuse that is lit and it's slowly burning. What's causing the fuse to burn? What's causing you to talk yourself into this? What is fueling that hatred or giving you that I have to fulfill this feeling inside of me that's telling me I need to act. I need to do something about what's going on. I have to do something about how I'm being made to feel. I have to do something about it. I can't find any other way to escape this uneasiness that's in me. So you're looking mentally at your calendar. You're just checking off the calendar day by day by day, because clearly this didn't just happen. It took build up. That's why I say there's a combination of things that could have happened here, and I'm trying to figure out, well, as much as I can, how could this have possibly led to this? And all I can think of, it had to be between the work environment and the interpersonal relationships between the people involved. That's all I can really think about. Um, it is just weird to me that, excuse the smoke detector, somebody's cooking right now. What was I trying to say? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry. My whole train of thought just got thrown off. Oh, somebody stopped it. Somebody stopped it. You see this in many cases where people are harboring certain emotions towards somebody. Maybe they didn't do right by you. Maybe the job didn't step in and do what they were supposed to. It's a combination of things here.
Well,
I think that's pretty much. Go ahead.
To your question, I think this is ingrained in our culture. Like the violence I think it's a natural byproduct. What we grew up seeing, especially depending on your home life, depending on where you come from, violence is the American way. A lot of times that's how we solve issues. So when you're looking at movies and you listening to music that perpetuate, and you're looking at all these TV shows, and then that's all they show on the news. Like I looked at the news earlier, and it was like 20 articles about shootings just this weekend alone. And that's only the half of what they've given us. But I think that's one of the common ways that we have learned how to solve our problems. That's just part of it. You know, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then it's depending on certain situations where you grew up at or how you was raised. A lot of times, if you don't have proper guidance, you think that is the way to handle your situation. And I know for a fact, because for a long time I thought that was the way to handle mine, until I saw that actually really I wasn't about their life. I'm not about their life. And then I saw what happens when, you know, that stuff start going on. But I can't front and say, you know what, that I didn't fantasize about it, because this was, not only was it in our culture, the way we, you know, at first I wanted to be a gangster. So that was normal, or what? That was a normal expectation of what I had that came with it. And that was the way that I thought that about dealing with situations. So even now, I'm still learning how to talk to people. I'm learning how to talk about situations. I'm learning how to be okay when people tell me something they don't like about me, or something that they don't like that I did. Because I used to separate. So not to take the thing off, but off way too far off topic. But I think that, again, that's the way we handle things. And a lot of times that ain't just in our culture. So, you know, we don't know the ethnicity of these people that was doing it. But I could think of all these shows that come on CNN, Snap, the Monster Next Door. We watch all these shows, right, that glorify homicide. They glorify all of these bad things on a daily basis, to where it's almost unconscious, to where I'm looking and I'm scrolling through to try to find something on TV, and it's 50 shows about somebody who snapped and killed somebody. And in my head, they even had the Netflix show about the dude, the serial killer. And every time I see this, I'm sitting here like, yo, first, what about the victims' families? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you even? And then second, why are we not letting these people die? How are we turning this? How are we turning these people? To me, they turn them into superheroes. You know what I'm saying? It can't be nothing in my head to say, okay, show what happened, whoop-de-whoop. Maybe a documentary, but you got this, you making whole shows and advertising and stuff, and instead of erasing these people or showing they bad, they making it like a good thing. So I think, again, to answer your question, it's this violence is a part of America, hands down.
I was going to add to that too. There's a whole bunch of it. I've noticed it's been in the last like decade. I mean, at least I'm biased because obviously I'm younger. But like a lot of the movie Thanos and what is that one? It's an anime where the dad is like super, super, super powerful, and like Outlander or something like that. Like there's a whole bunch of shows that are dedicated to single players, single characters that are immensely powerful, and they use that to help the world in a way that's very twisted. I think that very much reflects the society that we're living in right now, where people almost feel the need to be twisted to get around in this society because of how badly it's set up against us. And we've been saturated in violence for years. Like I remember in high school, we used to have to write essays about how media has increased violence, whether there was links between school shootings and commercials on TV. And we always had to analyze like how media was affecting us and was affecting our psychology. It used to be a huge study, and I mean, it still probably is, but a lot of these marketing agencies don't want those studies coming out, obviously. One of the things you said, Rob, reminds me almost perfectly of a line that I wrote in one of my poems. It was about self-harm, and one of the opening lines is, entering with it a new genre of helplessness, learned from the decades of fun and colorful violence casually displayed as an American breakfast staple. It's so pervasive that any child could be exposed to violence as a answer to problems. It's shown in cartoons, it's shown in movies, it's shown in TV shows, and more honestly, I think it would be harder to find TV shows that didn't include death and murder and all sorts of stuff like that than it would be to find something that's wholesome and has none of that. Naturally, humans do seek out that type of material because it allows them to make sense of the world in a less stressful way. It allows humans to confront our mortality and to understand some of the more difficult topics to cope with, but it's still so pervasive that, and also the other problem is in the past, like in older cultures, when they were confronted with death and violence, they would have somebody, the kids would have somebody beside them talking them through what happened. They would talk to them about whatever their religion was. This is what's going to happen with you. And oftentimes they'll offer words based on their culture, giving them reassurance. Like, it happens to everyone. If it does happen to you, you'll go up to your God, whatever. It comes with a sense of like morality and goodness that can come of it. And it also included condemnation if it was like a massacre and stuff like that. We don't have that today. We don't have the counterbalance of moral and ethical and like post-life education. It happens to everybody. We should have it available because at some point a child or a young adult is going to experience the death of somebody that they know. And it's, if you prepare children ahead of time so that they know that this can happen to people, that accidents happen, that violence happens, and it's like teach them how to keep them safe from it, but help them understand that it happens, it becomes a lot easier to actually cope with stressful and traumatic situations than it would be if you just like completely ignored it so they get blindsided when they're older. And where was I going with that? And so that's why we're seeing such a prevalence of people misunderstanding the consequences of violence. I think that some of these people, like obviously there are mental conditions and whatnot that affect your perception, but I think in a lot of these cases, the reason why we're seeing so many teens and kids in their 20s getting in these altercations and being involved in gun violence, it's because they don't actually understand yet. They haven't grasped the finality of mortality. At that age, we still haven't, it's psychologically not accessible to us yet to understand that death can happen to you. A lot of teens and 20-year-olds, most teens and 20-year-olds, it's a natural part of their biology, their development, their psychology, to think that they are invincible. And so that's contributing to them going to these really violent methods of expression, because they literally think in their brains that they are invincible and that if they do this, they will win. And obviously all of us that do know the consequences of violence like that, if it's a gun against a person, chances are you're probably not going to win. So I think there's a bunch of issues. There's a bunch of factors that really affect this issue, but it's really horrific that it's affecting so many innocent people.
Real quick, Deep, before you go, I wanted to correct myself for clickbait. I said that there was a Walmart shooting in New Mexico. It wasn't New Mexico. It was in El Paso, Texas, 2019. That was a massacre. And then second, real quick, Sydney, I want to add to what you were just saying, because a lot of times in the neighborhoods that I come from, we don't even think we're going to make it to 20. We don't even think we're going to make it to 18, 17. So automatic, it's you growing up in an environment where it's kill or be killed. So you learn after a while. I think we said this a while ago. You learn that you either become the predator or the prey, and after a while, you pick a side, and nobody wants to be prey. I could tell you that much. So right now, in this day and age where we're not learning ways to process anymore. It's crazy. Oh, and two, shout out to Jenny and SM. Them. I see y'all cooking. Shout out to y'all.
You're muted.
There we go. what was I about to say? Happened at some point. I thought at least I would have got to Friday before my screen or my mic messed up. Tells you kill or be killed. Make all the money that you can while you can. The only way to respond is through violence. And you can argue with yourself. I care. That's what I remember. Even as much as I embraced it and listened to it, from Scarface to The Godfather, all that stuff.
The Joker.
The bad guy is the actual good guy. Exactly. He's not crazy. He's misunderstood. They know the justice system did something wrong to him, and he's just paying them back. He's taking a stand against the real criminals. That's how they paint you. As a kid looking and listening to it, that's how you see it. It transferred from you looking at the government to looking at your own peers the same way. Now, as far as the store is concerned and the people involved, it had to be either something romantic happening or the environment just was poor. The morale in the store was poor. Who has not, show of hands, who has not been on a job where you just was ready for Friday so you could get the hell out of there? Or you just didn't feel like they appreciated you enough? Or you felt like there's just way too much going on in that infrastructure for your mind to wrap your peace is supposed to come with just working, because you got stress at home. When you go into work, you're not thinking about all the drama stuff, and then you get to work, then you got people being petty, you got people throwing extra on you, you got people sabotaging, you got people lying on you, you got people hating on you for a reason, you got people jealous of you because they like you more than they like them. It's always, these workplaces are not as friendly as a lot of people might think they are. That's why people complain so much about going into work on Mondays or Thursdays, because Friday's right around the corner. Why? Because most of these work environments harbor some real bitter people who are angry for whatever reason. They take it out on everybody else, make their life difficult so they can feel better about what's going on with them. And look, you got co-workers, you got workers that hate each other's workers who hate their supervisors, and so on and so forth. I can only imagine the stories that some people can tell. Even here, I'm pretty sure that there's things people have seen make you pissed off or make you want to do exactly what this gentleman did. Well, maybe not to that extent, but you know what I'm saying? But it's all programmed. I always say this stuff is just programmed to make you self-destruct, whether or not it's on the job or it's in your household. Following dreams is a nightmare. I guess it really, whenever you're in pursuit of happiness and you're trying to do something that you enjoy doing, you're always going to get met with obstacles. I don't think this was their dream. I don't think they dreamt of working at Walmart. I don't think that was their future.
Except for the CEO, I don't think anybody dreams of working at Walmart.
It remind me of that 70s show, Red Foreman. Red Foreman used to be proud to work at the Price Mart. That man took pride in his job, man. He used to stay on Eric's ass about that job. But y'all the ones that's making the money anyway, so I guess you will be okay with it, but not for the average 9 to 5. Most of us are not living our dreams or doing the things that we actually want to do. I've asked him before. Most people would not be doing the 9 to 5 if they could do what they actually wanted to do. I yield the mic.
This makes me think of a video that I was watching earlier, talking about people that are now, like, the fact that so many people were already living paycheck to paycheck, living out of hotels, living out of like cheap little apartments, and how they're now being affected by the rising prices of everything. Most people don't get the opportunity to even pursue the life that they want, because most people at least most people my age or slightly younger and slightly older than me have kind of gotten into the same situation where they were told, go to college, get a job. If you go to college, go to college, get a degree. If you go to college and get a degree, then you'll get a job. And people literally went thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars into debt just to get that job, just to enter the market and find out there are no jobs. The only jobs that you can get are at Walmart. And even Walmart doesn't want to treat you well and doesn't want to give you health care and doesn't want to make sure that you're well taken care of. People are very, very angry now because they're realizing they don't have anything. They can't afford food. They can't afford housing. They can't get a job. They can't get a house. They can't get a car. Like, it is a mess. And as my mother-in-law has been saying to me, it's just going to get worse. We're just going to be seeing more and more of this as people get more and more stressed out. As people start running out of food, as people start running out of money, people are going to start looting. People are going to start robbing houses. People are going to start doing crazy stuff because they're going to be so desperate, especially because we have so many people now that are like, I don't know. People are used to living the high life, having all of the fancy clothes and the fancy bags and the fancy jewelry and the makeup and the blah, blah, blah. And when they lose that high life, I don't think people are going to handle it very well, because we are a society, at least these last couple generations, we're so far removed from what life used to be like for 99% of people on the planet in all of history. We are living a life that is, as I forgot who said this, but it was a quote, like, people in a modern, modest household from like the 90s, 2000s, they have lived better than any king ever did in the 1500s, 1600s. People don't realize how lucky we've been over the past couple decades, and that it can, like, there's so many people that think because we have this system set up, we're immune to collapsing to levels seen in the 1900s, where people were literally starving in the millions. And I think it's kind of, it's these companies' faults for disillusioning us and making us think that you can just buy your way to the life you want, that all you have to do is get a job and then you'll be able to pay for your happiness. But that's not how it works. And so many people are now stuck in this rat race to achieve that impossible standard that these companies have manufactured for us.
Yeah, people definitely frustrated, man. They definitely, you know, I kind of don't blame them. When you hurt innocence, I don't support that. Just hurting random people for no reason. It's not in self-defense. Then you had a problem. I do know though that I remember said the entertainer years ago in the Kings of Comedy was he said the joke he wish a person would. You know, I gotta say it politically correct, but if you know Kings of Comedy, you know what I'm talking about. When people ride around wishing a person would, you wish. Try me. You know, I said it last time. The girl said, "Try me, try me." You know what I'm saying? Like, so we in this culture, and it's really been like this. I'm gonna say it again and again. It's been like this. We just got all these means of sharing it, right? Because I'm looking at my Facebook now, and Facebook now is the joke station. Like first it was, oh well, you know, you could connect with people and this and that, you could network, woo, woo, woo. Then it was like it turned into the Jerry Springer show. Now it's jokes. Like I scroll down my timeline, it's joke, 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 joke. Everything is a joke. So you're absolutely right. We desensitized, but again, with that, it's nothing new. It ain't been nothing new. The guy in Buffalo went and killed 10 people. The young teenager drove across 3 state lines illegally, killed the people. The guy shot the people at the church. Trayvon Martin's killer got off. Back in the days, all the LMN movies was about how the housewives was disappearing. And so I don't think, you know what I'm saying? But I think you're right, Sydney, with the desensitization of things, and that you're absolutely right. If they wasn't on edge, a lot of people on edge now. And again, that to kill a lot of times, depending on where you're from and depending on the guidance you have, a lot of times I think that's the way that we feel like we got to handle business. You got to stand on business. I'm gonna stand on business. If you cross me, I got something for you. And the only way I've reasoned with that a lot of times, when I'm looking at a lot of the children, that's how they really live. Like, that's why when people be like, how you listen to that music? And that's all they talk about. That's da 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 da. A lot of it is fantasy, but there's a bit of it that's cut. These are how these kids are living on a daily basis. They ain't telling you no lie. We looking at, you know, places like Chicago. We looking at New Orleans. We looking at places around here even, because, you know, every city got it. You know, small or big, rural, country. Every town has their place where it goes down at. And I know for a fact that this is how these kids feel. And a lot of times it ain't remember, the music is reporting. They just reporting. But I know for a fact that when they waking up in their apartments, in their houses, in their trailers, or whatever they are, this is what they're seeing every day, whether it's on a small level or a big level. And this is the response that they know to where, listen, I probably ain't going to be here, so I'm angry, so I might as well make somebody else mad. I'm hurt, so I'm finna hurt somebody else. Or you know what? I ain't even hurt. I'm going to hurt somebody for no reason, because at the end of the day, you know what? I'm scared. And I don't want people to be bothering me every day I come out. I don't want these people to think this and that. I don't want to have to be fighting. So what I'm finna do? So, you know, when you look at corporate or whatever, unless you're a supervisor, because I know somebody who just said they retired from Walmart but he was a manager that moved into supervision. I think corporate and the culture at Walmart, it doesn't, when you go in there, a lot of times it doesn't feel like a place to where they actually really care about their customers. You probably have staff members that look out for each other, but you're probably right. The morale in a lot of cases is probably pretty low. And I think, again, when people do not take on the systems, or they don't know how to take on the systems that are oppressing them, they take it out on each other instead of learning ways to fight the system. And then a lot of times, again, you have people that get in those positions that come from suppressed situations where they take on the views of the oppressor. But I'm pretty sure, you know, in cases like this, the person was probably upset anyway, and that whatever happened was their golden opportunity to do what they did.
Because of the way we've been like anesthetized by stuff and by having all the things that we could possibly want, I think there's also a large percentage of the population that don't even know that they're oppressed. They think like they're living the life because they have this basic like, oh, I get to stay home, I don't have to do anything, I can just sit at home, watch my TV, play video games, whatever, or like just, I don't know, not even go to work, just stay at home and whatever. Like those people that are coasting through life are also oppressed by the same systems. They just don't even know that they're oppressed. They live their life thinking that they have freedom when they're literally chained to all of the different companies that are trying to do that to them. They're the ones that are soda drinkers and chip eaters and going for all the TV shows that we talked about that are espousing these types of themes. So yeah, I think there's also a lot of people that aren't even aware that they are being victimized by a greater variety of players.
All screwed in a way, and it's mostly because you'll have people who are like Rob and like you, who use their information and their resources to try to at least shed some light on what's going on around us. We know we're not going to reach everybody. We can't change the world by ourselves, but our experience and just who we are, it will eventually connect with somebody. And we don't have enough of that to counter everything else that's already been systematically put out here. And like you said, Rob, it's been going on for a while. Even you said it, Sydney. So it's like we've already confirmed that this has been a thing that has been implemented for a lengthy amount of time. No one is really standing up, acknowledging its existence for what it is. And we're kind of just, it's here. So we might as well just deal with it and live with it. Like you got a family member that you don't really want to deal with, but they come and they want to stay with you for a weekend or something. You don't really want them there, but it's like, it's still family, so I'll tolerate them because I know they're going to eventually leave. It's kind of like that. And I think the inconsistencies too. You can't sit up here, be upset with what's happening, but still support what's happening. What do I mean by that? Buying the shirts, buying the music, buying the subscriptions, listening to the same people over and over and over again, not getting involved with the political aspect, not getting involved with the things that's going on in your city. even being quiet is kind of saying, oh, you just ain't got nothing to do with me. So like we at some point we got to look at ourselves too. I don't condone what this brother did. I can see what both of y'all said in terms of like being desensitized. But you're still grown. You're still an adult. Every day I look around and I'm thinking to myself, is this real? Is this the Matrix, like Jenny said? Is there things that I'm doing that's improving or making it worse? Self-reflection is constant. It's not just when you hit 21 years old or you hit 30 years old or you hit 40. It's a constant thing that goes on with a person. And unfortunately, the parties involved here, they had some things going on personally and internally that none of us will probably know about. I ain't a psychic, I ain't a clairvoyant, so I couldn't tell you if one person crossed another person or nothing. But the guy went after specific people. He didn't just go into the store and randomly shoot at random people. He went in there with the intentions to get specific people. He left, grabbed his gun, went back in. And then on top of that, because the girl wasn't there, he went to her location. So this had to be personal. It had to be more than just what we can only speculate on. That's why I said earlier, what was the buildup? What was going on leading to this? You know, it's just answers that we're probably never going to get. And it's just sad because we're all adults. We should be able to communicate and find other ways to deal with situations. For one, I don't even think you should be getting involved with your coworkers if that was the case here. Two, we need to acknowledge that these work environments are not safe or they're not as protected as we would like them to be. You might be happy. That person hates you. This person loves coming to work every day. The other person can't stand it. And what Jason had touched on last week about leadership made a lot of sense here. I don't think there's a lot of leadership, like a lot of real solid leadership in these locations. I yield the mic.
There also isn't very much stimulation in general. They've done numerous studies showing that the reason why small towns and rural regions have so much issue with crime, in particular crimes of boredom, like breaking and entering, and what's the criminal mischief or whatever, and then also drug use. It's because there isn't anything offered for those people to do. Like, they can go and hang out at a park or at a 7-Eleven or something, but there's no like, oh, let's go. I mean, people don't really even go to libraries anymore. People don't go to like coffee shops to sit and hang out anymore. We've lost what are called third places, where we don't have other locations other than our homes to just chill and hang out, because they always have so many reasons why you can't stay for a certain period of time. Like, you have to find parking, and parking costs a bunch, and then you have to go into the city, and people don't like driving into the city. Like, there's so many different reasons why so many excuses for not going out. And so a lot of teenagers and young adults in those types of areas that don't have anything for them to do, anywhere for them to go, they turn to those activities, because at that age, we crave stimulation. People in their childhood and their early years need that stimulation, need to be doing things, need to be learning new things and having exposure to new experiences, because that's what our brain craves as a learning being. But there's a lot of, especially in the inner cities, there really aren't very many opportunities that are unpaid, that are, you don't have to pay for, that are actually uplifting, that they have to go to. And so that it's also a reason why people join violent, aggressive, alternative group movements. I won't mention them by name, but I'm pretty sure we all know what they are. But that's another reason why they join those, and gangs, because out of boredom and out of a need for connection, for guidance, for structure. So we really have to create more robust programs. Roosevelt was very, very popular. And one of the things he did was he created a program for kids between the ages of, I believe it was 16 to 25 or something like that, where it was a volunteer program that they could enter into, and they would help with forestry services. They would help with cleanup of cities, with building projects, with all kinds of things that would help their community. We need stuff like that now. They have gutted all of these programs, but we need to have free and volunteer type programs for kids, for young adults. That way they can give back to their community. They can meet their community members. They can have a sense of purpose. That's really what a lot of these people are lacking, is a sense of purpose, something to do with their time. And so they fill it with nefarious activities instead.
Hey, this has been on my
You
heart.
used to have the.
Go ahead, bro.
Oh no, I save it. I don't want you to lose your train of thought. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You just about to say the YMCA?
I was just gonna say we had the YMCA, we had Big Brother programs, different infrastructures that kind of catered to kids who came out of like foster home or broken households in general. Maybe you just needed someone outside of yourself to confess or confide in, to keep you out of trouble. Martial arts, so on and so forth. Things that really forced you to exhaust yourself to the degree where you're not thinking about being outside running around in the street, because you had something to look forward to. No one is really motivated for sports and things like that anymore. And I agree with Sydney 1000%. I just wanted to add on to that.
Yeah, no, y'all right. We definitely had more programs. It was definitely more sensitive times to where, like, a lot of times our parents, they say, yo, you're going to be better than me. You got no choice. I'm seeing a lot of times now, people are like, well, they're just like me. And it's like, okay, what we going to do? Well, I was the same way, shoot, they already. And then a lot of times people are intimidated by their children or these kids, where it's like, hey, as long as they doing something, or da 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 da, and we ain't had this and da 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 da. Then, so we, it's definitely a state of confusion. I don't think, the conspiracy theorist me, I don't think that it was a coincidence. But before I go on, I want to say, I got to say it every week, that I am not an expert. I have unclean past. I changed, and every day I fight myself to make sure, because a lot of times they say the more you change, the more you stay the same. But every day, the least I do, I do my best to make sure that I don't repeat the same mistakes. And the same for my music. My music is more hard. It's gonna it's a lot intellectual, a lot, you know, conscious, but at the same time, it's got a lot of gangster talk in it, because I believe that's what hip hop was back in the days when everybody went to each other's neighborhood and rapped about who was the hardest. What I did realize is that it's entertainment, and it's supposed to make you have a feeling or whatever. In no way is that real life. And I am from that era to where if you was a rapper, you had to have some kind of street cred. And I see that now we've gone back to that. And again, the access, we have more access to weaponry. We have access to stronger drugs. We have access to Instagram, like I said in a couple episodes ago, where if you wanted to see a dead body, you had to walk to it. Now you could swipe your finger and see anything to where now your kid just show you something where it's like, oh, how you, to where, and a lot of times it's crazy because you have to wonder, do I watch this stuff with my child or expose my child, or do I wait for them to get exposed at the schoolhouse or at the playground, wherever they gotta go? So it's definitely a time to where we have to come together and we have to find the time, because I think a lot of people struggling, and now people working 2, 3 jobs, 4 jobs. They just don't have the time to spend with their children, or again, if they ain't have the guidance, they passing it down. Like, so we gotta step back and add that balance. And I think it's good. That's why we're here, to see if we can help add some kind of balance. And there are people in these communities that are trying to do this exact same thing we're doing, but they're not being promoted. So we got to get back to a point to where we're pushing positivity ourselves, to where no matter what, who's backing or not, we got to let it be known that there are people out here that's going for something different. Because like I'm thinking right now, the old rap, we had the gangster rap, but then we had KRS-One, we had Public Enemy, we had Common Sense, we had Black Star, we had, you know what I mean, where for a little while they commercialized that stuff, but back now, the only one that I could really say, the only 2 that they promote anyway, and there's plenty more, I'm not saying they're not, but the only 2 conscious rappers that you will really hear about right now is Kendrick and J. Cole, to where there's thousands and thousands of artists. You know, you got people like Rhapsody that was doing it way before it was cool. Bahamadia, you got, you know, Dead Prez, who was so truthful, they almost pretty much got blacklisted because they was really like starting a movement. They was teaching farming and all types of stuff, to where now it's a lopsided thing to where you're only getting one perspective. And it's just like last week, violence sells. So I gotta say to myself, like, okay, when I go to put on a movie, I'm not looking for a love story. I'm not looking for I'm looking for the most violent of the violent. I want to see it. I want to see guts. I want to see, you know what I'm saying? But I had to teach my mind over 20 years to realize, okay, that's entertainment is totally separate. And at the end of the day, I don't live like this. I don't want to live like this. I don't want nobody around me living like this. And for sure, I ain't finna let the kids be going through this stuff. But a lot of times I realize I'm too late, because it's just what it is. And there's no defending the act that was done. The culture is more either desensitized. We probably don't accept it, but we're desensitized to a point to where, A lot of times we don't say nothing until it happened to us.
Yeah. That's the sad part. Scroll. And one thing we all have in common, trauma. Everybody has suffered trauma. Either it was heartbreak or it was just something relatable. But the theme seems to be similar in every post that I come across. Moving forward, I don't know what they're gonna do at that store. It's weird to me how they just opened it right back up afterwards. I wouldn't feel comfortable going in there. That's how normal it is at this point. Not too far from me, half a mile, at a bus stop, drive by, killed the woman as she was at the bus stop. They didn't shut that bus stop down. People still sit there and wait for their bus and like it's just another day.
I got scammed at the Walmart right down the street from my house, and I haven't been back there in like a year and a half. I really don't know how people can just like, oh yeah, somebody got killed here like 3 days ago. Let me go get my strawberries and yogurt.
But that's again where I keep saying, like, that's normal to us. Again, a lot of times people not gonna say nothing till it happened to their family. Then the rules change. You know, everybody, I'll do this and I'll do that. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you'll do till it happens to you. And a lot of times, all of that business you stand on, you stop standing on it when it happened to you and yours, especially if you're not accountable. You want to start making excuses and this and that. You know what I'm saying? So, business must go on, whoop-de-whoop. That's the way of this country for sure. They want to say the world, but all I can speak for is here, to where, because I'm from New York. Again, you can see a dead body, you trained to walk over that and not call nobody. You can see all types of stuff. You better not tell them what. You ain't telling nothing. And at the end of the day, to a certain extent, I'm still like that. Like, yo, I know how to mind my business. You know what I'm saying? It's unfortunate because, like you said, silence could be violence. But the repercussions a lot of times for stepping in situations that you don't have nothing to do with could be you in a funeral casket. So, we got to balance. But what we do for sure, again, the desensitization, a lot of us adults are set in our ways. A lot of time we don't change till we want to, but we do gotta have something. We gotta have a something to where opportunities are provided. Like right now, we don't have martial arts really too much. Like y'all said, it ain't too many things for kids to do. I don't even see arcades no more. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Dave and Buster's, but it's so expensive. You got to go so far. But we don't have arcades. We don't have, the museum is not popular no more. Like you said, Sydney, forget it about a book. Man, ain't nobody reading. Try to get somebody to read a book nowadays. They ain't trying to hear that. You got to listen to it now is the new thing. If that's the case, but we did have more. Even we had the police athletic league, we had the Nike tournaments or whatever. But now everything is priced out. And at the end of the day, nobody really has time, or everybody is flocking towards the same stuff. So like today, I was showing my kids figure skating. And I'm like, yo, you know what? If your dreams don't work out, you could go do this. The other day I was showing them car racing, and I try to show them things that are different, because all they thinking is basketball, football, and they don't comprehend that all of y'all not gonna make it. You know what I mean? This is a 1% thing, if that. And one thing that's common, they can tell you what they ain't gonna do. I don't want to do that. 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 They know what they don't want to do. But at the same time, it's hard to get them to do what they gotta do. So again, a lot of times that culture, once it's ingrained, that is the number one response that you'll hear. And definitely, I can't speak for everybody in my community, but a lot of times that is our way. We feel like, listen, if you mess around, I'm gonna get you. And unfortunately, in our community, that's what's promoted. You're gonna see more of the negativity in our community than the positive. So I want to highlight and take this time to shout out the people who are doing these programs on a small scale, to where they're working to stop the violence in their neighborhood. I want to shout out the managers in these corporations that are working to try to boost the morale for their people, so at least you can have a cohesive environment where people don't mind working together. I want to take the time because they're out there. Again, it's just that it's not promoted. That doesn't sell. So you're not going to see that. Like, even somebody told me the other day, and I'll pass the mic after this, that they say, yo, your music is taking longer to blow up because you got a positive message. They said, if you came out and really went nuts right now and talk crazy, you'll be way, way further. But then at the same time, your life will be at risk. So they was like, you know what? Don't even be sad if you don't make it. Oh, well, because we know that you tried to pass a message, and there are some of us that are out here listening, and we see exactly what you're trying to do, and we support you. Because I'm up and down every day. Like, is my music good? What's going on? Do I have what it takes? And it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't have that style, that commercial style, and I'm not necessarily talking about everything they want to hear. So right now, I'm not a priority. And if that's the case, I finally come to learn to be okay with it, because it's bigger than money. I rap to show people that they can make it out. And also, what I've learned too, rich people have the same problems, if not more. Like you look on TV and be like, oh, they got money, they don't have these problems, da 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 da. You look at a lot of times, they got more problems than we do. They got all types of issues. And here we go. I grew up poor. I'm thinking once I had money, everything was gonna be straight. No, that's not the case. And now that I'm meeting people all over who've had money, they have the same, if not more, problems than we did in their families and their communities.
Not to mention, people that are highly, highly, highly wealthy have to sacrifice parts of their character to get to that point. And so oftentimes the people that are very highly wealthy have less than desirable personalities because they had to sacrifice that to get to where they are today. Because I mean, truthfully, you cannot be soft and wealthy at the same time. Like, soft people cannot become wealthy because soft people are more likely to give away their money to help other people and to do stuff with it. But they're typically less far-sighted and more short-sighted. Like, oh, I want to help out this person, I'm going to give my money to this homeless person. But you usually have to be more cutthroat to get to the higher echelons of society. So that's the other thing I always think of, because I do, in my situation, I do daydream like, man, it would be so nice to make like $10,000 a month or something, so I just don't have to worry about anything. But there's a term in psychology called lifestyle creep, where basically as your income goes up, you feel comfortable spending more money. So even if you think like, oh yeah, I'm making more money, you're spending more money because you feel more comfortable having that money. And so there's a economist that I really like, and he says, to all you people that idolize the people with $500 million, keep in mind they're probably $100,000 or $100 million in debt. So, and they probably also don't have access to all that money that they say they have. It's probably locked up in other stuff. So rich people aren't as rich as you think they are. They just like to show it as if they are.
My best friend tell me all the time, he say, first, if you can't be used, you're useless. And he say, I don't know why you always talk to me about making $1 million when you don't see yourself being $2 million in debt. He said exactly what you just said, Cindy. He like, yo, you think you're gonna make $3 million? That means you're gonna be $6 million in debt. And I argue all the time, like, yo, that's backwards. But then when you see these people, they have all these issues with this money, they go bankrupt, and it's, you know, it's off topic, but it relates because those people are unhappy. Like I think about Michael Jackson all the time. Michael Jackson, he didn't have a happy marriage. Prince didn't have all of these people. They made it. They hit this superstardom, and I rarely see them come out to where they're able to take care of their kids in peace and have happy relationships. They be crashing out. Like even Ye right now is crashing out. Like, and it's like, golly, you realize I'm glad I got older because you're thinking like, man, they got it. They got everything. Like they got everything you want. And at the same time, a person told me, he said, the poorest people in the world only have money.
It's a good quote.
You said,
just to also add to your example, the Kardashians are also taking like menial jobs because they're broke right now too.
you said something earlier. These are my last thoughts on all of it collectively. And we might have to do a whole thing on this one. I like that you brought this up. You can teach a person how to win, but we don't teach people how to lose. And I know it sounds kind of strange, but taking a loss doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. Rejection is not always a bad thing. How can you lose something that was never for you? But the feeling and the dissatisfaction that comes with losing is what bothers people the most. And a lot of us don't know how to regulate that and turn it into something else. So I thought when you kind of brought that up, I don't know if you knew that you were going in that direction, but that's what kind of got me thinking, like, a lot of these women and these kids out here, they have no idea. You just think everything is supposed to be put in your hands. And as far as the wealth too, and the money and all that. Oh, what was that last part?
I think some of it's the school system too, because in the last decade, most of the kids going through the school were like,
I didn't catch that last part.
Oh, it's also the school systems, because kids these days are just like, you can't fail them. You have to continue them on. They're getting their degrees, even though they're at a third grade reading level. So I think also it's this culture that kids are growing up in where they think that all they have to do is scream and whine loud enough, and then eventually somebody's going to give in and give them what they want, and they won't have to work for anything that they feel like they deserve. So I think that's also part of it, because those kids are now becoming adults now, are the ones becoming adults in this current age.
Oh yeah, no, you right. I mean, of course you got to put them into that. But my condolences again to these gentlemen. And I don't know the status of the other guy who's in critical condition. I don't know how he's doing right now, but my thoughts and prayers with him. That young lady's family. This is what I did want to add, because it was something else that you had said. I would like to find those people that you gave a shout out to. I would like to have some conversations with them people, because you're absolutely right. They deserve their flowers. We need to spread more positive messages. So if I can locate anybody that is out here promoting something good for the community, I want them to come up. I want to have a conversation with them. I want to see if there's ways that I can help somehow get their messages out there more. Yeah, I think that's going to be my mission moving forward next as well, is to try to get into contact with these abolitionists and all of these folks that are doing this, because we need it, and it's absolutely in demand. Is absolutely in demand. So I'm glad you brought that up. I enjoyed the entire discussion from beginning to end. Too many different perspectives, but we all pretty much agree on the same things here. I hope y'all got something out of this one. We need to change so much, man, especially with the way that we think. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Shout outs to you and Sid. Shout outs to Jenny and SM for pulling up. Everybody who tapped in to watch, appreciate y'all. Violence isn't the only way. Actually, it's the last option. It shouldn't even be something that we run to, because we can't handle things the other way. But I'm glad y'all was able to hang out with us. Me, Sydney will be tomorrow. Up, bro. Always a pleasure to have you on. And I hope you have a blessed evening and a blessed week. That goes to the rest of y'all.
May I say something before we go real quick? No, it's time to go. Real quick.
Yo, y'all got if y'all got anything y'all want to say, if y'all got anything y'all want to say, go ahead. You got it.
Go for it.
Check on your kids, man. Everybody, check on your kids. And I want to say this real quick. I teach some kids, and one day a little baby said, they said, well, Mr. Harris, I want to go to the movies, but they be shooting stuff up. And this was said like 3 months ago, and the baby wasn't lying. I was hurt. I couldn't even stop, or I couldn't beg to defer or whatever. But I do want to say that see how with young adults, everything, especially under 25, if it's a loved one or whatever, you see them going through something or whatever, talk to them, see how they feel, let them express themselves to you, so that these things, could be prevented.
I just wanted to say thank you for watching. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I'm glad that we covered something so important in today's culture, because I think as we were saying in the discussion earlier, we've become so desensitized to violence today that we don't really talk about it anymore. I remember when I think it was Columbine. It was in 2001 or something. There was a mass shooting, and it was huge. It was all over the news. They talked about it for weeks. They broke down his psychology. They discussed how they could prevent it. They discussed the students, the impacts on the school, and everything. And today, it's barely a blurb. They're just like, oh yeah, another one happened. Oh yeah, another one happened. So I really think we need to bring it back into the spotlight and highlight all these people that are being lost to senseless violence, and really highlight the psychology that's causing it. Because I think that's really what's missing from society, is we are examining these issues without examining the people. And we really need to bring our focus back on the people, because we're very clearly giving a message that overall we're not doing well. So we really need to figure out how we can get people what they need, so we aren't pushed to make these types of rash and dangerous decisions.
Well said on both parts. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. We are about to get up out of here. Shout outs to Rob and Sydney. Shout outs to the chat. If you want to stay in contact with us, just follow me on all social media platforms. If you know, you know. I'm pretty active. I'm pretty supportive of those who are supportive of me. We got a cause. We got a movement. We got a mission. Outside of that, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night. We are up out of here. You guys enjoy the rest of your nights.